Radio of, for, and by we the working people. The Rick Smith Show. Welcome back to The Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So yesterday, I saw this story over at the Washington Post talking about how President Biden is making $1 billion available to NASA and a bunch of other folks to prepare for the coming hurricane season. And it got me thinking, going, wow, someone actually, preparing, and not, these people backed me, so we're going to give them extra paper towels. It was, all the places that need it are going to get the help they need. And I'm going, that's what a leader does. And it's sad. It's sad that that's where my mind went right away. But, it's rare over the last couple of years to see someone who cares about the whole country. And here to share some thoughts on, how our president is doing, even if 53% of Republicans still believe the last guy is still the president. I've asked our good friend Phil Glover to come back and talk with us. Phil is the National Vice President of AFGE District 3. Phil, thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate being back. Thank you.
So, I saw this story, and maybe you'll come along with me. I don't know. I was, I felt a little bit better. We got a president who's going, we need to be a little proactive. We need to think about what's coming, and we need to prepare for what's coming. I felt a little better.
Yeah, I think he definitely understands the structures of government, so much better than the former president. He's looking to fund FEMA, which, Federal Emergency Management, the Coast Guard, all the ones that deal with emergencies on the coastlines. They need funded. They need employees. FEMA is stretched. They've been used for COVID-19 response and things like that. And so coming into hurricane season, they're being stretched. Their local president that we represent, 4060, our local 4060 is FEMA. Steve Reeves is their local president. And, he's always out there, fighting for resources for his folks.
Now, we're more than 100 days into this administration. And, a lot of people have been very happy with what he's done. Some people not so much. The federal government is a large entity, lots of things to do. So I thought I'd reach out to you and see kind of how are things going on the federal level with the workforce that we have. I'm just curious, any assessment thus far how Joe Biden's done?
Well, I think there's a lot of positives for federal workers. Certainly his budgets will be better for us. His supplemental budget that he put out about a month and a half ago certainly had no poison pills in it for federal employees, like removing their pension programs or anything like that. He's about to release his next budget, for the remainder of 2022. And we don't expect any harm to federal employee pay and benefits. They seem to be looking at increases in the agencies like the law enforcement agencies, DHS, the VA. They're trying to get the VA back on track. As much as the last guy kept saying how much he's fixed the VA, there were 49,000 to 50,000 positions vacant. You can't help veterans with 50,000 vacancies in the VA. So we expect those things to start to be rectified. You're not going to do that overnight. I mean, getting people hired is not quick.
Right.
But we do expect change, and it's coming. It's coming.
Well, I mean, you can't expect to hire people in the midst of a labor shortage. I mean, evidently there's nobody out there who wants to work, Phil. They're all lazy because they're getting that $300 a week. If you listen to Republican governors across the country, man, it's there's nobody wants to work. Everyone wants to lay home and collect that $300.
Yeah, that's an easy one. These guys, I don't know where they're coming from on that stuff. When we go to hire, we can hire. We have to hire at the right wage. We have to provide the right benefits. People, will come out and work. Now, we do have some challenging areas to hire in, which is like the Bureau of Prisons and and some of those places. Those are tough, especially in certain locations. Very hard to get people on board. But if we have the resources and the funding to do it, then it's possible. The other thing is you have to have people running those agencies that people want to work for.
Yeah.
We had an exodus of employees under Trump. Some people thought that was, a good thing, I guess, smaller government. But what it created is a government that doesn't work for people. And you need a government that runs for people. That's what it's for. We're of the people. We're not, everybody thinks we're an other. We're not an other. We're your coaches down the road. We go to your church. We're out there. We do federal employment. We're no different than anybody else in that regard. And we work for you. So that's what people need to understand.
Yeah. Now, I have some problems, clearly, with the administration. I would have liked to have seen some regulations put into place by OSHA to help protect workers on the job. That hasn't happened yet. But when I want to rage about something like that, I have to take a breath and go, it's been a little bit more than 100 days. You were talking about a massive undertaking that you can't just snap your fingers or flip a switch and everything's how you want it. It's a process.
Yeah, I mean, I still think you have a lot of the things, Rick, is that you still have a lot of embedded Trump management. 4 years of that administration, many of them are embedded into the system. So you get a new secretary who has a different view. They got to push through all those layers to get things changed. And you have a lot of every agency has a general counsel or a legal department. And they're whispering in these folks' ears. There's no doubt in my mind that as things have been pushed to change, for example, you've got the VA. The secretary of the VA, the former secretary, signed a memorandum to eliminate the right of doctors and nurses to represent themselves in the union. They have no right to time to represent. There's certain things they can't even file a grievance over, like fair pay. And it was all because of a memorandum by the former secretary, Wilkie. McDonough still has not revoked that memorandum. We've asked him. We have locals that have met with him. We have district and national vice presidents and the president of the union, our president of our union met with him and have asked him to revoke that. And it still is not revoked. And I believe it's because he's got lawyers buzzing in his ear. You don't want to give up that power. You don't want to give up that that role, and we are pushing hard. I've got Connor Lamb. I've talked to him about it. I've talked to Senator Casey about it. I mean, we're trying to push members of Congress to get him to pull back that memorandum.
Yeah, but again, there's just so much that. So let me ask you this then. So why thus far this seems like a no-brainer for me. Why wouldn't they?
Well, there was legal action taken by our union and other unions. It's called 5 USC 7422, and it's a section that gives the VA secretary a lot of power. And the former guy used it. This guy, we're asking him to remove it. It's in the middle of litigation. And so I know he's got lawyers in his ear telling him, hey, let's see what the courts do with this. But instead, we're saying voluntarily pull this thing back. It's no different in Social Security. You've still got Andrew Saul over there. And he's got, I think, 2 to 3 years left on his term. And, Biden would he has to have cause to fire him. And I hope he finds the cause pretty soon, because it's kind of like the NLRB general counsel. He needs to go. Our employees think he needs to go. The public should think he needs to go because he's been ineffective and he's just tried to damage the system so they can privatize the SSA. Right. That's where he was headed. So, these guys are still, some of them are still there. So I try to give the administration the benefit of the doubt on a lot of things. Now, on simple things like, ordering them to follow Biden's executive order on collective bargaining and those kind of things, I think should be no-brainers. And I hope that these secretaries and department heads and deputies that are being put into place will exercise their authority over these line managers and make sure those things happen.
So this transition over, and you've been around a long time. You've gone through this through numerous presidents and numerous changes of power. How long generally does it take for a president to get, quote unquote, his people into the places that need to be done? Are we on track, behind, ahead? Where do you see this administration compared to some of the past?
I think we're behind because of the way the transition was held up. Normally, like in the Obama, when he came in under Bush Jr., the Senate moved his appointments pretty quick. And even prior to him actually swearing in, they were holding hearings on appointees. That didn't happen under Biden. The Senate under Mitch McConnell, they were waiting to see what happened in Georgia. They weren't holding hearings early. They weren't moving appointees. And so nothing happened. So it took, after the fact, then you had the turmoil of the insurrection, January 6th. Then you had the Senate turning over. And if you recall, the Senate majority wouldn't give up their majority, even though the Democrats had the majority. Mr. McConnell would not turn over the reins, so to speak, to Schumer for some. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it was legal, but, I think he held it up, 16 days or maybe more. So then they had to organize themselves. So I just think it's unprecedented what has happened. I started in the federal government. I was in the military under Reagan, but I was in government under Bush Sr. And when Clinton came in, you didn't have all this turmoil. You didn't have it when Clinton handed it over to Bush and Bush handed it over to Obama. You just didn't have this kind of turmoil in changeover. And I just think Biden has had to deal with, COVID, 600,000 dead, all these other things. Then a Senate that doesn't want to, work with him. It's really, I think he's in a tough spot. I think he's handled it pretty well. I think his employees or his appointees are handling it as best they can. But I just don't know. I think it's an unprecedented thing.
Yeah, he's grabbing a bunch of really qualified people. I know this because my Rolodex is emptying out in my guest list. Because there's probably about 10 regular guests we used to have who are now, sorry, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to work for the administration, which for me is difficult. But they're good people, and I feel a little bit better knowing that they're actually there doing some work, and I know things are going to get done and done right, I believe.
Well, and I know he's pulled some folks out of Pennsylvania, certainly, that are very quality people that came from like Senator Casey's office and that I had worked with in different unions. Certainly. He's even taken folks from AFGE. So we even lost a really, really good legislative director that went over to work for the administration. So, I feel your pain, I guess.
No, I mean, it just is. It is what it is, and this is where we are. So going forward, I mean, how can folks help? I mean, how can we? Because I saw today there was just someone confirmed today, and I'm going, shouldn't we be done with a lot of these confirmations? Shouldn't this be over by now, and we get the gears moving and things start happening?
I just think I'm not. I know that Senator Schumer seems to be trying to juggle a lot of balls in the Senate, but I really think they should take a little page out of McConnell's book and line up about 10 appointments and vote on them and get them out.
Yep.
You've still got the postal board. I guess they just finally finished, the 3 appointees that Biden put forward. They will soon have a majority on the postal board, and then Mr. DeJoy can go take a hike. I think they should make that. Maybe that's a weekend priority for a little while. If Republicans want to keep blocking other things, maybe you line up from Friday to Sunday and you do a mega votes on appointees, and you get these deputies in and the people that the secretaries need to run their agenda.
No, because you need people in these positions, but they need to be in there long enough to know where the bathroom is, know where at least where the desk is, so that we can get some things done. Because ultimately, and this is where my mind comes back to, Joe Biden has a vision of where he wants to take the country. He has an agenda. He was the duly elected president. We have a Democratic Senate. We need to get things done, and we need to get things done quickly, so that people can see the effects before 2022 rolls around. Because I have great concerns for next year.
Yeah, they need to feel the difference. People need to see what the difference is, and especially those of us here in Southwest Pennsylvania and Central Pennsylvania and maybe North NEPA. You know, they need to feel the difference that someone who really wants to fix things for working class people, what those things are, instead of just giving a speech saying all these good things and then nothing happens, and then just keep repeating that something good happened when it didn't. We saw a lot of that, in 4 years. So I hope we can get to like the infrastructure bill and the things that, the PRO Act, those kind of things need to be passed one way or the other. I never saw anything that the Republicans wanted to do, and this goes back years, that they didn't pull out every stop, every parliamentary procedure, every attachment to a must-pass thing to get their agenda through. And that's what they do. And, I hope Schumer takes that under advisement and he runs it the same way if he has to.
Now, you brought up the PRO Act, and I know on the federal level it's not going to do much for your members. But I see this as a priority for the labor movement, almost a last ditch hope of saving what's left of organized labor in this country, as the pendulum of power has swung to the Amazons and to the Walmarts and to these big giant corporations. Do you see any possibility of this getting through?
I hope they can at least attach pieces of that bill to must pass things. If they can figure out a way that the parliamentary rules allow something to be put into reconciliation, parts of that bill, anything to change and give labor a chance here. Because it was clear after the Amazon vote that, when you have a billion, a multi-billion-dollar company who has the Postal Service put a post box on their grounds
and give you the key.
And watch people put in the put in their ballots. That's a lot more power than anybody should have in a company. And so, labor has lost its footing there, and I hope we can, build it. I don't want to go into Build Back Better, but that we have to grow, and we've got to get a better playing field, a more level playing field than what we have now.
Yeah, because look, I think right now people are if we had sane laws in place, I think people would be joining unions in droves right now, especially as we're seeing people going, we're not going back to desperate wage jobs. We're not going back to crummy working conditions. We're not going back to the economy of February of 2020. We're not going back there. We demand better. And this to me is that moment that I've been waiting for labor to have an explosion of people joining and creating new opportunities.
I think, we just had some folks of ours participate in, McDonald's strike out in St. Louis. So, these folks are walking out on the street demanding $15. If they could be in a union, SEIU or one of the service industry unions, UCFW, I think we should see an explosion in that. Grocery stores, look at how everybody said about grocery clerks and the stockers and everything. These are frontline workers.
Heroes.
They were heroes during COVID, Now it's like, hey, I want $15. Hey, get back to your $7.25. You got, Republicans in the state house here in Pennsylvania, oh no, $7.25 is fine. While the other states around us are raising wages. So all along the border, where would you go to work? If you're a Pennsylvanian, you're going to cross the border into Maryland or New York or Jersey, where the minimum wage is higher.
Or West Virginia, where the minimum wage is higher.
Yeah, even West Virginia. Although I got to say, I'm not I was a little disappointed in our senator down there. He's $11 an hour is not 15.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's strange and scary times. But Phil, as things continue, I'd love to have you come back and share some more with us. I appreciate the time as always. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate your show very much.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, our good friend Phil Glover. Make sure you check out the work that they do over at afge.org. Let's take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people on the talk.
Saving work in America, one show at a time. The Rick Smith Show.